Hey everyone, hi, and welcome to the Real Power Pack series, where I bring to you 50 amazing business experts. Today I have with me podcast host, digital media and creative consultant, and entrepreneur, Mr. Josh Carey. Welcome, Mr. Carey.
Mr. Josh Carey. Well, thank you, Shai, for welcoming me here. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you today.
Oh, it's an honor to have you here today. So tell us, who is Josh Carey, and give us a little bit of your backstory.
If you can give me that answer, I'd be happy to hear. Who is Josh? Sometimes I have no clue, right? I have no idea. But I'm getting more of a grasp these days than I have in my past. I spent so much of my past, 40 plus years, in fact, hiding behind fear, right? I showed up in every situation in life, in business, in social, as the person I thought the other person expected or wanted me to be. Completely exhausting. And you know who that works out well for? Nobody. That doesn't do me any good, and it doesn't do the other person any good. But I was so paralyzed by fear so much of my life, playing this role that I kept myself boxed in, thinking that this is what the world wants or expects me to be. So I am not strong enough to sort of break free from that. So I didn't. And that creates so much aggravation, frustration, anger, because I knew inside what I'm about and what I'm capable of and what I see others doing that I want to be doing. And boy, that just gets very, very tiring, very exhausting. And now I have to, in that scenario, figure out behind closed doors, when I'm not out and about seeking approval, because that's all it is, how I'm going to live with myself. I feel terrible. So now we get into, how am I going to overcome these negative feelings of shame, embarrassment, resentment, all that stuff. And then you start finding ways to medicate, and you just go down this slippery slope. So now, 2 beautiful children later, I have an extraordinary 5-year-old daughter, an incredible 3-year-old son, who have inadvertently become my savior. I saw them. And in the beginning, I saw, when I was, first of all, I always knew that I'd love being a father and always wanted to be, but I never would have taken that action myself willingly, quote unquote. I never would have seen myself at a certain age where I would have said, you know what, I'm ready to become a father. Let's do this. But the universe, or the God, or whatever you believe in, saw differently. I was 39 at the time. I was in a committed relationship to the woman who has since become my amazing, beautiful wife. But there was no conscious conversation of let's have children. But again, something greater than all of us said, Josh, you're 39. Now is the time. And lo and behold, we're like, oh my gosh, we're pregnant. This feels good. This feels right. Let's go with this. And 2 children now have become the thing that have gotten me out of this hidden role and into a better path of living as the person I always knew deep down inside I'm capable of being.
Wow, that is amazing. So your kids helped you make that decision to change.
Yes, consciously or subconsciously, because for the first couple of years of their lives, I was not the best version of myself. I was still angry and frustrated and trying to do things, and that creates this contrast that I was aware enough to see and say, I don't like the person I'm being with them in the world. They created this reflection for me to see. I'm like, this is terrible. They are perfect, innocent, gorgeous human beings. My responsibility, I'm pretty sure I'm a responsible human being, but I'm not being responsible. I really have to stop this pattern and get it right. And that's what helped me and allowed me to leave that world and really analyze, dissect, and figure out what I was doing all those years in hiding that was not serving me, and take deliberate action in the reverse.
Wow, That is amazing. Well, let's journey into your past a little bit first. I am a big film fanatic. Anyone who listens to this podcast knows this. I talk about it all the time. I'm a filmmaker. I love it. I love film. I love animation. I love everything about it. So tell me a little bit about your film career, your acting career.
Absolutely. I can totally relate to your love for that. So I didn't grow up as a young child thinking that I would become an actor, performer, filmmaker. However, before I deliberately went in that route professionally, I did take on the role of performer, meaning in the hiding of myself and in the hiding of showing up as me, you play a role and you wind up
Yeah.
protecting yourself. So you show up as a version, as a character. And it was, looking back, I was always the right, like look at me, I got to make you laugh because I can't authentically connect. I don't want to let you in. I don't want you to see what I find embarrassing or, not ideal. So I'm just going to put up this mask, put on this front, and just, have this somewhat shallow dialogue and connection with you. And then wonder why nobody connects with me and nobody gets me, and why can't I relate to anybody? Because the whole time I'm showing up trying to keep people at a distance. So I was always this performer in some sense as a child, which I guess then led me in 8th grade. I remember I was walking down the hall and Renee Stevenson, I still see this moment with her. She probably doesn't even know that this was the moment. We were changing classes in 8th grade. She passes me by and she says, "Hey, Josh, are you going to audition for the school play today?" And I was like, just trying to keep everybody happy. I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And then I'm like, "Oh, there's a school play. Okay, I guess I'll audition." Didn't even know. So I wind up auditioning for this school play. It was a drug awareness play. I auditioned, and as fate would have it, I got the role of the comic relief, which, as you know, is the character responsible for relieving the tension in any play or film, usually through a comedic structure. So I was the one on stage that was, bouncing around and making the audience laugh. And that was really the first time I got that kind of attention. And I said, wow, I don't really care if they're laughing with me, near me, at me, but they're laughing because of something I am doing. And that felt good in that moment. And I felt like, I want more of this. People are giving me this seemingly positive attention that I never really got before. Something I'm doing is causing this reaction. I want more of it. So I said, "Mom, I want to be an actor when I grow up." And okay. And I don't know if she thought I was serious, but I'm like, this is the only survival mechanism I'm aware of right now to keep myself sane. So in high school, I was in the plays, and I was in community theater. And then I went to college for acting and filmmaking. And then I moved, I'm in New Jersey. So I had the luxury of being right next door to New York City. Found a brilliant, beautiful connection. To this day, I love New York. I adore New York. So I just submerged myself in that world, went to acting conservatory, trained, and just for 15 plus years lived in New York, living that dream, pursuing that dream. Did a lot of comedy, because that was the origin of all this. Did a lot of comedy, was part of a comedy team, did a lot of stand-up, a lot of stage, a lot of film, and went that route.
I can totally relate to all of that, and the joy of the tension and everything. And I think a lot of people live for that attention. They
The
equate
attention.
influence and attention with power and with significance.
Oh,
So here's what I'm trying to figure out. When we live in a generation where likes and being famous, whether it's on Instagram, more so in film, to have a successful film career. I don't understand, why didn't film heal your feelings of anxiety and insecurities? You were the man.
I
Why were you isolated? People live for the fame of being a filmmaker. So why?
Well, it's true. And to easily answer your question, it's the same reason why you see these extraordinarily on paper successful celebrities who have everything going for them, yet they're miserable, yet they're in rehab, yet they can't make their lives work. It is a band-aid. It is just a band-aid. I was in every sense, and the stereotype is that, especially in the industry, is that we're all insecure. We're looking for this external approval and validation. So that's what I came to the industry seeking. That's what I was seeking my whole life, was this external validation and approval. So now on stage, you just try to, glorify it and make it bigger. Oh, give me the applause, give me the approval, tell me you like me. And then you get it through this. It's one of the most shallow industries ever, because you are coming to this industry as a band-aid, hoping that it's going to satisfy your insecurities, hoping that it's going to give you the external approval. But just like if I come to you as a friend, or as in any sort of intimate relationship, it's the same thing. I would come and say, if we were friends, you would see that I was very needy, and nobody relates to that. Nobody likes that, and that's not going to do good for me. Or if we were in an intimate relationship, I was very needy and needed the approval. That's not strong. That's not healthy. Same exact extension in the entertainment industry. You're just looking for it on a more public scale. That's why it didn't work to satisfy those needs of want and insecurity and validity. It was fun while it lasted, and was good to experience a lot of that. No regrets at all. But it didn't take away the internal work that I've since needed to do to come out on the other side like I am now.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, let's talk about the hidden entrepreneur. What is that all about?
So I realized it was sort of like, after years and years of hitting the same wall, whether it's in life with people or social, feeling disconnected from people, but knowing, like we all know, I had a true sense of who I was inside, yet I didn't see the world responding accordingly. And that was just so frustrating and so profoundly interesting to me to realize that I think I'm a smart person. I have a good head on my shoulders. I can do certain things, but I think I'm likable. Yet again, people weren't responding accordingly. So after years and years of that, mixed with two children who are now looking up at me for guidance, love, direction, and me realizing I am not getting something right here. Something is so wrong. I can't better myself. I can't achieve these dreams and goals that I want. Nobody's reacting to what I think I'm putting out there. I don't feel a connection really with people. What in the world is happening here? I just did a lot of honest internal work to really give in to all this and say, something has to change here. What is happening? What do I need to be honest about? What am I not being honest about? And that's when I realized I'm hiding. And then I knew that I wanted to bring this whole element to my business and my businesses, and really share this excited message and journey that I'm on. And because of that hiding, I was like, hidden entrepreneur. This feels right. This is what I want to do. I'm gonna get comfortable with what I'm doing. I'm gonna put fear aside, work through it, never let it stop me, never hide again, and consistently take these bold actions actions that are just correct, that just feel right, that should have and could have been taken all along, and say, I'm done. F that noise. And I say that with a bunch of comedy because F that noise became not only an exclamation, I realized that it became the 5-step process of what I've done and what I continue to do to show up and to create the world, the life, and the business that I want. NOISE is the 5-step process to get you from where you are today and achieve whatever is next for you in life or business.
Well, let's talk about F that noise. Let's talk about the 5 steps.
Sure. So basically, this is all about getting aware, right? It's getting so self-aware because then you can be honest with yourself. If you're lying to yourself or avoiding parts of this for yourself, it's not going to work. So once you are ready, willing, and able to become self-aware and admit what is happening, we can move on because you know wherever you are today, without a doubt, you know what the problem is. You know how to solve the problem. More often than not, we just make excuses to remain comfortable, which also is all sorts of irony because you're not comfortable. You're in pain. You're in frustration. You're in aggravation. You're in despair. Whatever that emotion is, it's not comfortable. It doesn't feel good, but it is comfortable because we know that feeling. So F that noise, the NOISE is about getting aware of the predominant emotion of what's keeping you exactly where you are right now. So you can take whatever next step is waiting for you. So the N, when we're dealing with emotion, is simply to name the emotion. You want to get so comfortable with what it is you want to name it. There might be a few that are related, but what is that predominant emotion? Is it anger? Is it frustration? Is it despair? Is it loneliness? Is it confusion? Is it envy? Yep.
So I have a question. How do I know what emotion I'm feeling? Because sometimes we go through a roller coaster, especially as entrepreneurs. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm frustrated. How do I know what that driving emotion is that I need to tackle in your 5 steps?
That is such a great question, Shai. Thanks for asking that. So when I work with clients, that is certainly the first question, right? Well, how do I know? So what I do is I ask you first, off the top of your head, if you think that there's a series or a few, name them for me. And then once you get into that, you start brainstorming, the predominant one will arise through conversation. So I'll ask you, start naming what you think comes out a lot. And then we can get into to determine if this is the driving emotion. I can start learning how and why it comes up. Tell me about what's most frustrating to you or what's most aggravating to you or what really gets you angry. And then from there, we start picking through the emotion to determine, all right, is that just a side effect of something? And then slowly but surely, we nail down not only what that emotion is, but what's really causing it, which is one of the other letters down the 5-step path.
Right. Okay, so after we've named the emotion, where do we go from there?
So now we're on to the O. Now, this one is often most difficult for people. O is you want to own the emotion. That means you're going to take it on, you're going to accept it, you're going to own it, it's going to be yours. And this means it's about you and nobody else. This one comes out. I often ask a question that is a very simple question, but there's a trap in it. The question I ask at this point is, what's bothering you? Okay. And when I ask that, a lot of clients will start naming people. My boss does this, my husband does that, my roommate is this way. It's not, the trap is, it's not who's bothering you. What is bothering you? What about your boss? Okay, great. So your boss does this. How does that make you feel? Why does it make you feel that way? What's happening here? And this isn't about really analyzing and getting deep and staying in this place. We never want to stay here. We don't have to stay here. This is all just quick bouncing to identify and move on, because we want to get you forward. We want to get you finally moving forward and taking action. It's not about reveling in it and analyzing it long and deep. So it's what's bothering you. We're going to have you own that emotion, get you comfortable with knowing this is yours and yours alone. It's about you and you alone. It's not about the other person. This is so contradictory to what we want to believe and feel. We want it to be, well, if they didn't do that, I wouldn't feel this way. Forget that. We are not here to change them. We're not here to change anybody. Let's work on the one person we can control, which is you right now. Are you willing to own it? Say, yes, I'm willing to own it. It's mine. Let's go. I am angry. I'm frustrated. I'm lonely. I'm confused. I'm pissed off. Own that emotion.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. It's the same thing that I have been saying in my lives. A lot of people focus on the triggers. And I think it's just amazing to hear you say it and in such a powerful way, that it's not the people, it's not the triggers, it's you. Deal with you. Control you. I love this. So let's move into the next step. What do I do now?
So we got the N, we got the O, now we're on the I. Now you want to identify with it. Plain and simply, you want to take it on. I am angry. I am frustrated. I am in despair. Just let that sit. Just accept it and get on with it. You are going to identify with it. You're not going to push it away. You're going to resign to it, because it is a part of you that we now have to own and accept.
Why should I identify with something that I most probably am already battling with? Why?
That is, Shy, that is such a powerful question. It's such a smart question, and it's such an important question. If you don't identify with it, you're not going to be able to embrace it. You're not going to be able to see it for what it is, so you can release it. If you don't identify with it, you are pushing it away and you are repelling it, and you're saying, no. But if you identify with it, again, I'm so glad you asked, because this is not about reveling in all of this, years in therapy and going down that road and feeling like, oh, I'm the victim and I did this. No, this is quick and somewhat painless and empowering. So when you do this, it's all about giving yourself the power back. So you're not avoiding it. So by identifying with it, you're saying, yes, I am that emotion. And now we can move through it and create instantly different, better, more empowering emotions and feelings for yourself. But if you don't identify with it, you're not going to embrace it and accept it for a part of you that is in this one moment. This doesn't color you as a person. This doesn't label you. But here and now, in the present moment, I am this. And then secondarily, and I am ready, willing, and able to move through this. And that's what we do through this. But the minute you identify with it, you can then release it.
Wow, that is powerful. Okay, so Mr. Carey, I've named it. I've owned it. I identified. What do I do now?
Now, Shy, you are going to you are going to sit with it. Now, yes, you're going to sit with it. This could be a few hours. This could be a few days. It doesn't have to be a few months or a few weeks or a few years, what have you. You're going to sit with it for one purpose and one purpose only. Now you're going to start seeing when this emotion arises. What is causing this emotion? Is it a certain event? Is it a certain person? Is it a certain topic? Is it a certain time of day? Is it a certain thing? Some people call these triggers, right? What is causing this emotion for you? And the reason you want to get so aware, if you remember, that's how we started. This is all about becoming so self-aware so you don't fall back into the habit. These kinds of emotions become habitual. We feel so comfortable with it. They don't feel good. Pain is often comfortable because we know it. We know what to expect. We know what we're going to experience. So you want to become so aware of when do I feel that emotion? What is happening? And get really comfortable with that knowledge. So you sit with it in only enough time to determine what is causing it. Then what we do is we start putting in place a pattern interrupt. And that simply means we're going to do something specifically different now that we know what causes it, how and when it arises. If we're aware and we can see what's happening and feel what's happening as the viewer of what's happening, we can then say, no, now I'm not going to go down that path. We will put a pattern interrupt. We will say something, do something, feel something, act something different to cut that off because, again, it's a habit. This is just habitual. You're not consciously getting angry or frustrated or going down this path. It just happens because that's all your mind, body, and soul know. So we can sit with it to identify how and when it's happening, create the pattern interrupt, and start moving into a different direction to slowly but surely put this emotion that does not serve us aside.
Woo! I'm ready to stand and give you a standing ovation. I have been preaching this in my lives. Guys, if you are following me on social media and you're listening to my lives, I speak about this all the time. Patterns.
Yes.
Patterns. Recognize them, to break them. So tell us, Mr. Carey, why is that important to recognize these patterns? I want you to reiterate that point because I want to make sure that they get this.
Reiteration is wonderful. So we want to sit with it and start acknowledging when these things cause this emotion, because so much of what we do in life is a habit, becomes habitual, and it's all just a pattern that we feel, we see, we think, we do, and we just accept that as the norm until we are consciously aware to say, I don't want this anymore. I don't need this anymore. It's not serving anymore. And I see the pattern. That's all life is for us in so many situations. Our bodies get so comfortable. So we get into this pattern, we get into this habit, and we need to be so aware to be able to put a deliberate, conscious, different action in place to interrupt that emotion and prevent it from happening.
I love it. I love it. When I was talking about negative coping mechanisms, and it's the same principle, guys, the same thing. It's just, man, amazing. So let's go into the next step. I've done all of these steps. What do I do now?
Well, now we arrive at the E, and the E is the only natural progression, the only possible result of all of this is that you will evolve. You will become the person you have set out to consciously and deliberately be. Evolve means to gradually and slowly change over time. And that's exactly what this is. This isn't a quick fix. That doesn't mean it's a long fix, but it takes deliberate, consistent action to see that evolution of person that you are, that you always were, and that you know you can be. The Greek word for evolve is evolver, which means to unravel or unwind. So think about something that is slowly unraveling. It's piece by piece. And that's what this is. It's a natural progression consistently over time. There is no end to it. You can evolve as much as you want. And that's what this process allows for.
Wow. That is amazing, guys. I love this process. F that noise. I love it. I love it.
Say
I
it.
love it. Some
Yes.
power right there.
Thank
And
you.
guys, remember, if you need to get connected with Mr. Carey, at the end we will tell you how to do that, and you will want to, especially after this part here. Here goes.
Yes.
So we live in a time where everyone wants to be liked. We measure ourselves based on our followers. I know I do it every day. If I lose a follower, I'm panicking. I lost one. Oh, my bot isn't working. What's going on?
I bet.
So, why would I want to accept being awkward? Awkward is never a good thing as far as what I'm taught. As an entrepreneur, as a marketer, as someone who just an everyday person. So tell me, why should I accept the awkward?
Well, we first want to get in line with the premise that we are all awkward. We are all uniquely awkward, right? So the impression of awkwardness suggests that you are isolated, you are individual, you are disconnected. However, when you come to terms with the fact, now I'm as awkward and strange and weird as the rest. And believe me, we all are, right? Can we agree with that, especially behind closed doors? Come on, we all do the same thing behind closed doors. We do the same things with those we're comfortable. We're all out of our minds. That's the beauty of it. That is what you have to get comfortable with. That's what you have to say, wow, that is what makes me me. That is what people respond positively to. And most importantly, that is what makes me feel good. That is what makes me feel good, by being myself. And what we wind up doing is judging that. And we say, well, that's not normal. What? Don't tell me about normal. There's no such thing, right? Who wants to be normal? We are not normal. We are these evolving things called human beings that oftentimes makes no sense whatsoever to the people out here, but it makes complete sense to you. But what do? You start analyzing and evaluating. Well, I did this and that person said that, or I lost that follower, so that can't be good. Says who? Says who can't be good? I spent 40 years in that role, and that's not good. It got me no good trying to say, let me be the person that this person wants, expects, or needs me to be, so I can who knows what. So by embracing your own awkward, which just means how you identify with yourself, that's all it is. Your awkwardness are your powerness. Your awkwardness are your powerness. That's what makes you you, period. And guess what? The people that see this and like it are going to step closer to you. And there's no shortage of people if you think there has to be. You are not going to repel the people who are not meant to be in your world, in your sight, in your embrace, in your light, in your love. What you're going to attract are the people who say, you, I like you, I get you, I love you. And that's going to feel the connection you need. That's what I was missing this whole time, because I would put on this happy face and try to be like, hey, like me, like me, like me. Talk about awkward. No. So when you embrace your awkward and say, I'm as awkward as everybody else, I love it. You are going to attract the people, a whole new set of people. Do you know all the people that I attracted who were taking advantage of me because I played that role for them and I showed up in that world for them? All those people who I then thought, oh, they're going to come at me harder if I speak up or if I say something or if I do something. Do you know I don't even see them anymore? They are in no way, shape, or form in my world, in my sight. But you know who is? A force field of powerful, incredible, strong, brilliant people like you, Shy. You're all standing in front of me telling any of these people who I no longer see, yeah, just try it. Try to come closer. Sorry,
Wow.
park's closed. Okay. No room for you here. So I have this force field of beautiful, amazing, awkward people that are standing in front of me, that I'm standing in front of, and nobody else can get in. It's beautiful.
So I really want to dive into this awkwardness because there's a lot of power in this topic right now, and I really want to drive this point home. So let's use two different scenarios. Let's translate it into some situations. Okay, let's look at the film industry. Awkwardness is often seen as creativity. But what if I'm a filmmaker? It's my desire to be seen by the companies and for my work to be seen to gain fame. But what if I feel that I have to water down the version of me to please the industry or to go with the trends of the industry standard? How do I handle fighting between what you're saying, being true to me, and dealing with the awkward version of me and attracting if I feel I'm failing and repelling the people that I want? Let's say I want Disney and I feel I'm repelling Disney because my style might not be Disney style. What do I do, Mr. Carey? What do I do? I want them to like me, like my work.
Integrity. That is all that comes down to. Integrity. And you're not alone in that question, in that battle as a filmmaker. You know, so many filmmakers want to express their art, express their creativity, but it might not be mass appeal. It might not be commercial appeal. It might not be Disney appeal. No harm, no foul. Okay, Mr. or Mrs. Filmmaker, if you want mass appeal, if you want commercial appeal, if you want to appeal to Disney, how much of your creative artistic expression are you willing to maybe sacrifice isn't the right word, but alter, change, adjust? How much integrity do you have? And that's only something you can answer. Your art, your expression is not, should not, and cannot be for everybody. And this is applicable to every person and every business person. Your client is not everybody. You're not going to attract everybody. You might have a big market that you serve and that you can serve, but even within that, not everybody's going to be interested. And that's okay. So it's the exact same thing, whether you're a business person selling a product or service, or you're a filmmaker deciding to go after Disney and appeal to the masses. Maybe you can find it within yourself. Maybe you take that opportunity and say, you know what? This is a great test for me, whether you're a filmmaker or a business person. I want to attract Disney, or I want to attract the CEO of Fortune 500 companies, but they're just not giving me the time of day because that's not who I'm currently appealing to in my creative expression. So now you might say, this is good. Let me test myself. Let me stretch myself a little bit. Let me see what I can dig up in my creative environment to go down that direction and see what I feel comfortable doing for Disney or for a CEO executive, and see what comes about. So it might be the best process you can find right now for yourself while maintaining your integrity.
Okay, so Mr. Carey, we got the film one down. But I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a network marketer, and I'm all about image. Image is everything, attraction marketing. That's a trend, that's a thing. So I'm putting myself out there, but I'm getting no clients. I'm getting no one, no one. I seem to be repelling everyone. Do I have to change the version of me? Because I think I'm awkward. I don't think people like my style. I don't think that they're converting like I want them to. Do I change me to fit the industry and to be able to maximize attraction marketing? What do I do, Mr. Carey?
Such a great question, and such a question that forces one to be nothing but honest with themselves. So if I was working with that person and that was the issue, that was the obstacle, I have this business, I have this product or service, yet nobody is responding. Is that it?
Yeah.
Right. So that obviously can take a few different paths, but no, it's not about changing who you are. It might just be changing the package. It might be changing the message. It might be bringing on a copywriter to strengthen up the words, because so many entrepreneurs who work alone and wear all of the creative hats want to do it all. But let's be honest with ourselves. We don't have all of that strength or capability. There are only some things you are good at, some things you are not good at. So we have to look at, okay, what's been going on and what can we strengthen up? Maybe, like I said, maybe you bring on a copywriter. Maybe your graphics are bringing down the professionalism of your message and they're not getting the eye or attention of your ideal market. So let's hire a professional graphic artist here. Or maybe your writing isn't up to speed. Let's get a copywriter to work on the words here, and there's a whole things, but it's not about changing who you are whatsoever. It's about seeing all of the pieces that are involved in running a business and putting out a product and service, and really seeing, what could I use help with here? Where is the disconnect, and who needs to be involved to help me strengthen that using my most awkward, beautiful, perfect self?
Wow, wow, wow. That is powerful. There you go, guys. I have nothing to add. Perfect.
Shy.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, so let's talk about finding my voice. How do I find my voice? Why do I need my voice?
What are we talking about in a business scenario?
Well, yeah, let's start with the business scenario first.
How do you find your voice? By practicing it over and over and over and over and over again. The only way to do it is to get it out there. You are not going to hit a home run the first time out. You are not going to hit this grand slam, your first message, your first post, your first this, your first that, your first. No, you have to work at this. It's a craft like anything else. The good news is that anything is learnable if you put in the time and the dedication and you have a bit of passion and skill for it. You have to work on things. You're not just going to see somebody doing something. Now, this is, what a lot of people think. They said, oh, well, he achieved that. I could achieve that. Maybe you can, but you might not achieve it first or second or third time you try it or do it. But if you're putting in the time, if you're working at it, if you're taking action, if you're getting it out there and looking at the results and trying how you can tweak it and educating and learning and putting the results and seeing the actions and all this stuff, that's when it's going to work. How do you find your voice? You have to do it over and over and over again. I've been making videos and writing and running my business for 15, 20 years now. My early videos were terrible, but I couldn't have gotten to a point where I'm comfortable, where I feel like, oh, I'm starting to get the groove of this. I'm starting to find my voice. I'm starting to half like myself on camera and not totally wigged out by the sound of my voice, which happens for years. How do you get through something like that? How do you find your voice? You just have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it until you find it.
Okay. So I'm an everyday plain Joe, plain Jane. I don't have a business. I've gone through your F that noise. I've dealt with my awkwardness. How do I find my voice? I don't even know what I want to do.
You don't know what you want to do, but for the sake of this conversation, there's something that you want to find to do. If that's the case, we can work together to see what makes sense for you, what you're good at, and truth be told, this might not be the thing for you. It might not be running a business. It can be part of, we can find a side aspect or a freelance aspect that works for you. But you have to be honest with yourself. If you're not motivated by anything, the whole issue is entrepreneurs solve a problem. So if there's nothing you're coming to the table with, what is the problem you're solving? What are we doing? So you have to be as honest as ever with yourself, which is really a theme of all of this. Honesty with yourself. My whole life, I was dishonest with myself. I wasn't showing up as the honest version. Now I am. Now I'm awkward as ever, and I love it. And apparently other people love it too. It just works.
Yeah, I agree. But do you think people are really capable of being honest with themselves? Do, do you think they are truly capable of being
Absolutely.
honest?
I am. I was the furthest removed. I was in the darkest of places. So are people capable beyond? It's a very honest question. Yes, everybody is capable of being honest with themselves and showing up as themselves and putting their best foot forward and embracing their awkward. Of course, we are all more than capable. That's how we are designed. That is our default. It's actually work and effort to contradict that. However, we know the world we live in, the vast majority of people don't do that. And that's the world I spent time in. And that's why I'm so driven and excited about this message and having this opportunity with Shy, because it's possible. And if somebody can watch me do it, they might say, yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that. Look at him. He's doing that. I can do that. Let's do that. Capable? Of course.
You actually somewhat answered my next question. Why did you create this movement? It's clear you have recognized that we all have to, not just can, guys, have to be honest with ourselves. And we have to deal with some things to move forward and to be successful. But why did you create this movement? Why are you so passionate about this? Because we hear your passion. Why?
Ooh, thank you. In business, there's a lot of talk about finding your why. Simon Sinek so brilliantly brought that to the forefront. And it's a valid question, finding your why that drives you and motivates you. And I found mine through my children, but specifically what it came down to is I like I said, I have a 5-year-old daughter, a 3-year-old son, incredible team there. And while I was seeking a life of approval, I noticed that my children, because they have no other option, looking up at me and looking for the way the world works, I realized that, let's take my daughter, for example. If she's watching her father live a life seeking approval and that's all she knows and all she learns to do, we can imagine in 15, 20 years for her down the road, how ugly very quickly something like that can become. And I just projected myself 20 years down the road and saw myself as an empty nester sitting in my rocking chair, and knowing that my daughter is out there seeking approval, and that doesn't often end up well. And I wouldn't have been able to live with myself in that future self. And it would have been agonizing knowing, she's just doing the best she can because that's what she watched me do. Now there's nothing I can do to help that. But now, present, current day, there's a whole lot I can do about that. So I'm setting a better example. And I'm showing her, I'm showing my son, and I'm showing whoever cares to watch and be moved by it. F that noise.
That is just amazing. Wow, guys, so much power, 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 so many nuggets. All right, Mr. Carey, if there was one thing, one powerful thing, one nugget that you could give to our audience today to take them through 2019, what would it be?
2 words: take action. That's all it is. It's not about reading, thinking. It's about taking action. Yes, things are important, but you must take the action as often as possible. There's no wrong action. The wrong action is no action. Take the action, whatever it is. Don't just sit back and watch and think and read and listen and watch and read and comment, and do something. Take the step. Take any step. That is the best thing you can do. Just take a step. It's not going to fall apart. In fact, the opposite is going to happen. Take the step. Write the article, send the email, make the phone call, create the video, something. Take action.
Wow, there you have it, guys. Take action. Take this into 2019. You heard it from Mr. Carey himself. And guys, if you would like to connect with Mr. Carey, you can connect with him via my website, https /therealshy.com. But right now, I'll let you know how else you can contact him. How can we get connected with you, Mr. Carey?
JoshCarey.com.
JoshCarey.com, guys. And like I said, let's go through the process. Let's learn. And I mean, F that noise. You've heard the process for yourself. It's powerful. And Mr. Carey is an amazing man. Thank you so much for having us. I mean, as I would say you are the guest on the show, but we are the guests in your lives and
Oh,
all
man.
of this wisdom, man. This is just a powerful interview. I've learned so much myself, and I know that everyone listening will. All right, Mr. Carey, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be able to have connected with you. We will be in touch soon.
Likewise, Shay. Thank you so much.
You too. All right, bye.